All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sue. I'm a careers advisor at the Gordon Skills and Jobs Centre and happy to be your facilitator for this afternoon. I'd like to invite you all to enjoy this session and receive our very warm welcome. This is the Industry Insights session into starting a home-based food business, and we hope you're all going to enjoy it. I'm joined by my colleague Sarah, who is behind the scenes today and will be managing our chat function. I'd also like to introduce you to our colleague Saria from Wyndham City Council. And thanks Saria and Lisa, who's here incognito today, for their assistance in preparing the content for this afternoon. Saria, could I please ask you to start our session with an acknowledgement to country?
Thank you, Sue. Wyndham City Council recognises Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples as the first peoples of Australia. We acknowledge the Bunurong and Wadawurrung peoples as traditional owners of the lands on which Wyndham City operates. The Wadawurrung and Bunurong peoples have and always will belong to the Werribee Yallock River, creeks, stars, hills, and red clay of this country. We pay respect to their ancestors and elders who always have and always will care for the country and community today and for future generations.
Thank you, Saria. The Skills and Jobs Centre is pleased to be partnering with Opportunity Wyndham to host this series of Industry Insights panels. These sessions will help people understand different industries, how to connect with service providers and their local community, and highlight ways to take advantage of the opportunities available. Opportunity Wyndham brings together Wyndham City Council, local employment partners, educational institutions and businesses to build local pathways to employment, and all with the support of the Victorian State Government. Thank you all for joining us here in this online environment today. Before I introduce our presenters, I'd just like to run through a bit of the Zoom etiquette we will be using. We're using Zoom webinar. So what that means is that you can see us and all of our presenters, but we can't see or hear you. But there will be time for questions. So if you are wanting to ask a question, please use the chat or Q&A function, and the question will either be answered directly or can be asked on your behalf once we tap in with Sarah at the end of the session. This workshop will be recorded and you will be sent a link to that after the session, but none of your personal information will appear in the recording. All right, so housekeeping out of the way. That said, on behalf of the Skills and Jobs Centre, I would now like to introduce you to the first part of our panel. If you want to sell food or any type of drinks to the public, you do need to register with or notify your local council. There are various departments within council that can help you understand and comply with your obligations. They can also provide services to help you start and grow your business. So now that we're all excited about that, let's hear from our panel of presenters from Wyndham City Council and about how they can help you on your small business journey. We have with us this afternoon Christine San, who's the Senior Environmental Health Officer, David Gatt, who's the Business and Industry Development Officer, and Linda Morris, who's the Team Leader of Business Planning. Thanks, team. Over to you. Do we have the presentation from Wyndham up on screen?
Not seeing anything.
Not yet?
I'm just trying to share it. So David, if you could maybe kick off your presentation and hopefully I'll be able to get the slideshow up in a minute.
Mine is up. I mean, I can start discussing basically. So I'm David from the Economic Development Unit, which is, I guess, the first point of contact if you're going to start a business or even continue a business within Wyndham. Just a bit of a brief introduction around what we do. So as the first point of contact, when you're starting a business, especially a home business, that would be the small business and support function we have. Starting a new business might require different things. Before you actually commence trading, you would require to obtain certain permits from the council. And that is a key important thing, and that's why there are different units here today, so that they can actually provide some information what they require from their end. So being the first point of contact in this process, the small business permit team can assist you when dealing with the other sections, such as the town planning, local laws, environmental health, and building. We have on screen, actually, there's a link on our website. We'll provide that thereafter when we actually share this presentation with you. You can actually see a specific link we have, so that if you're going to start a business, especially a home-based business, we'll ask you a certain amount of information, you fill it up, and then we'll get back to you with whatever else information we might require, so that we can start the process. And actually, that's an important thing, because the Council Small Business Support Officer, which we have two, will ensure that your application stays on track throughout the process. The next slide actually just gives the faces of who is behind the small business permit team. We have Susanna there with the coffee mug, and Robin, who will both assist in this function. So at least there you can see the faces behind, whether it's a phone call or whether it's an email. These will be the actual people who will be assisting you as a first point of contact throughout the process. Passing on to town planning.
Welcome everybody. Hi, my name's Linda and I'm from the Town Planning Department. So the Town Planning Department within Council is quite a large unit. So we have approximately 46 staff available to help you with any inquiries that you may have. So in this first slide that we've put together, I just wanted to sort of narrow down what actually is a home-based business. So from a planning perspective, it is a small scale business operating from a house. Okay, so in terms of planning, we are governed by the Planning and Environment Act and also the Wyndham Planning Scheme. Now, I've popped a link in here as well, which will be available obviously at the end of this session, to the home-based business requirements from a planning perspective. So it's basically like a checklist that you can read through and sort of tick off, yes, I meet this, yes, I meet that. So everyone in our team, which is a combination of senior planners, town planners, and administrative staff, we are all available every day of the week, and we can help you with information to do with zoning of your land and whether or not you would need a permit to actually operate your home-based business. Some businesses are exempt, so we could discuss that, whether it's over the phone. You can actually come into the counter at Council, which is available in between 9 and 4 every day of the week. But you can also call in, as I mentioned. So I've put together just a couple of few points based on inquiries that we currently get to do with home-based businesses. And this is all really important information that you need to know prior to starting out with your home-based business. So you must live in the home where you actually want to run the business. Now, I've put that item in because some people have inquired where they are a resident within Wyndham and they're living at a particular property, but they want to rent another property and run or operate a business from that location. Now, that is actually not an option. So I wanted to put that in there just at the very start. You actually need to be living in the home where you're going to operate the business from. Another important point is because this is for small scale businesses, obviously you who is living in the home will be working in the business. You can also have some people who live outside of the home working there, but you are limited to having no more than 2 people who don't live with you working in the business. Again, due to the scale, because it needs to be small scale, everything that you use within the home for the business, so it could be where you're cooking the food, it could also be where you're storing the food. The total area that you're using within the home can only be 1/3 of the total floor space. Now, that's probably a little bit hard to go through right now, but obviously we can have conversations with people to discuss, you know, how much area you are using within the home. It might be just the kitchen area and a pantry. You may want to store some goods in the garage, things like that. So we can talk through those elements with you. Another item that does come up a little bit is you must cook or make everything to be able to sell it. So for example, you can get boxes of Freddos from a shop. If you buy a box of prepackaged Freddos, you cannot sell those because you did not make them in a home-based business. So everything that you sell, you must make yourself. This is another big ticket item that we get a lot of inquiries about as well. When you're selling food from a home-based business, you cannot have customers come to the home to collect it. You must deliver the food. All goods need to be stored within the home and not visible from the street. And you need to also understand, because you're in a residential area and you're working from a home-based business, you can't affect your neighbours. So that could come into, you know, noise from the business. There could be odours over the top to do with cooking. If you're operating unusual hours, so if you're operating very late at night and it's noisy, that could, you know, have an impact on your neighbours. So you need to be aware there cannot be an impact on your neighbours. And another question that we get a lot of is about being able to advertise your business at your home and have a sign out the front. So that is definitely an option. If you want to avoid having to get a permit, the sign size that you can have is literally, I don't know if you can see my A4, anyway, an A4 notepad is the size of a sign that you can have for a home-based business. If you would like to have something larger for people to be able to see, the maximum size you can have is 1 square metre. So I've just covered off a few items that we get a lot of phone calls about and we discuss with a lot of other people who are wanting to operate businesses. So that's it from me.
Linda, I might just jump in there with a question that's come up. Samira was just asking, are there any other restrictions when it comes from cooking from home? I'm not sure if now's a good time to ask that question, or perhaps we should hear from Christine first as well, just about the environmental health side of things.
Yeah,
as well.
I think we should hear from Christine first. So in terms of planning, these are the key points. These are the key points that you must meet. If you don't meet one of these, then you actually can't operate from home.
Thanks, Linda. I might just jump in as well and just say to everyone, I don't know that the chat is working. It is turned on, but Q&A, if you've got a question, just click on the Q&A button and send it through to me and we'll be able to ask that question for you. I'll move on to the next slide, Linda, if that's okay. Which is environmental health, and over to Christine. We can't hear you, Christine, sorry. I might ask some of the questions perhaps while Christine has a play around with her sound. If David and Lindy are happy to take questions. There was a question here about what sort of insurances are mandatory to run a home-based business.
That's a really great question. So in terms of, are you talking about home insurance? Is that what the question is around?
Probably business or home. That's the thing. It's a home would need to, not most of the time, an insurance tend to be, when you actually have a home insurance, it tends to ask specific questions normally, whether a business is being had basically at the same location, and you would need to inform the insurance that is actually happening. Then there are different.
Sorry, and I'd like to add, it's actually a really great question because in the last month, a current affair actually had this as a topic about operating home-based businesses and your home and contents insurance. Now, whilst council don't provide insurance, and that is through insurance providers, you do need to speak to your insurance provider about whether or not you have got coverage for your home-based business, because there have been situations where people have not updated their insurance providers or their policies. And I believe the example that was shown on a current affair was a fire had broken out in the home, and because they were operating a home-based business, they weren't covered. So it is really important that you speak to your provider to advise them if you do, choose to go down this avenue and have a business from home. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Linda. That was a good answer. I'll just check back in with Christine and see how we're going.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. Sorry, everybody. Hi, my name's Christine. I'm one of the senior environmental health officers at Wyndham. So our role is looking after you once you get your permission, if you're allowed to, under the planning scheme. You then must register with us under the Food Act. So anyone that sells or gives out food as promotion, anything like that, must register with us under the Food Act. It's state legislation that is then enforced by us. So we look at how your kitchen is set up, what type of food you're doing. So that's all around the Food Standards Code. So there's certain requirements for hand wash basins, how you're going to clean your equipment, all that sort of stuff. And then it's based off the types of food that you're doing. So we have classes that change what you're, depending on your food, depends what class you are. So for instance, class 1s are really high risk things. So we're talking about your hospitals, aged care, childcare. So that's something that no one here should be doing from home, and it wouldn't be approved from home. But anything from 2 to 4 would be able to happen from home, as long as you have the requirements from the Food Standards Code. So adequate hand washing and things like I mentioned. Then you have a yearly registration. So every year you'll get a renewal once you're registered, and an inspection as well. So we'll come out and inspect and make sure that everything's all clean and tidy. We'll ask you questions about your processes, and identify anything that we think might be a risk to the safety of the food. And again, depending on the class that you need to do, and the type of food, you'll need to have a food safety supervisor, which is a course. I think it's about a 2-day course at a registered training authority. So I'm not sure if there are some online ones that you can do as well, and we'll provide some links to the website to have a look at those. And again, depending on the food, you might also need to have a food safety program, but that will really depend on what types of food. If you're just doing cakes or cookies, you wouldn't need anything like that, but you would still need to have registration and inspections. And I think that's all from me. But having said that, probably one thing to point out, even if you're exempt from a planning permit, you still need a registration or permit with us. So you might be exempt under the planning scheme, but you'd still need to register with us once you've found that out.
Thanks, Christine. There's actually quite a lot of questions for you. If I could maybe jump in and ask you a couple.
Sure.
So one of the questions was, do you require a food handling certificate? But your answer was that you actually need a food safety supervisor certificate. Does that sound right?
Yeah, so food handlers, food safety is sort of the same thing. Depending on the type of food that you're doing, you would need a food safety supervisor, which is a recognised certificate, and there's certain criteria for that. We'll provide links to the information on that from the Department of Health website. We do also recommend, if you don't need that, we would still recommend some free online training about how to handle food safely. Great,
thank you. There's another question here about, does blending dry ingredients together, then packaging and selling it, come under the idea of making food from home? For example, if it was mixed dry spices?
Absolutely, it does. So anything that is consumed by a human is considered food, even if it's a drink, and all would need to be registered with us.
Thanks, Christine. And there's a couple of questions here about making changes to the kitchen to operate from home, whether that be cooking or cake baking. I'm not sure if there was another slide that might have, yeah.
No, I probably didn't put it in because it gets quite, it's a case-by-case situation depending on what you're doing. So depending on the food and what is required will depend on what alterations, if any, you need to make. So sometimes, probably the biggest one would be installing a separate hand wash basin into your kitchen where you're working from.
Great, that question just came through. Now, just another quick couple of questions. If you register for a certain class of food, can that be upgraded over time? For example, if you start your registration with a class 3, but later want to expand into a higher class like 1, is that possible?
Absolutely, you can always change. You can change. So the registrations are yearly. However, if you want to change, if you find that 6 months in you're doing great and you want to expand your menu and take it to higher risk foods, so you go up to it from a class 3 to a class 2, you can more than welcome ring us up and we'll be happy to assist with that. We would come out, do some inspections and make sure again that you're still compliant, because if you change classes, you also might have extra requirements to the physical components of your house.
Sure. And Christine, I've got 3 questions here about the sink. So I'm wondering, would you like to perhaps, can I send them through and you answer them offline? Because I'm understanding that content's not necessarily relevant to everyone. So
sure.
I'll gather up the questions about the hand basin and the sink, and we'll come back to everyone who has asked about them. There's still a couple more questions, if I could just pinch a few more minutes of your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where would we find information about the food classification? About like desserts or
what type of food? Yeah, absolutely. So you can either give us a call and we can help you through that, or you can go onto the Department of Health website from the state government, or on our website as well. So things like if you're doing basic cake with no cream, no custard, and your ganache doesn't have cream in it or anything like that, you would be a class 3. But if you're doing something more like sponge cakes with cream, you would be a class 2. So it really, really is dependent on particular products and processes as to what you would be. So it can get a little bit tricky. So feel free to give us a call anytime.
No worries. Thank you. I'm conscious of time, so I might just pause the questions for a bit and we'll get back to the presentation. And so I'll move on to the next slide, which was about the Wyndham City building team.
I believe I'm going to do this. I'm not obviously from the building team, but still as part of the services which Wyndham City provides, we assist when you are actually carrying out any construction work to an existing commercial or industrial building. Same thing with the construction of any new buildings. And especially in this case, when we're talking about home businesses and so on, it's about carrying out alterations to an existing dwellings or garages, which, as we said, especially when you open a business from home. Any queries which there might be related to permit would obviously be supported by the building team.
There was actually a question that came through on the chat, which was about, as a tenant, do I need to get permission from the house owner or the landlord before setting up a business?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
All right, great. And David, one more slide for you.
Yes, one for me. So this, again, it's so before we discuss in terms of the support, the small business sort of the concierge, which is the first point of contact. However, besides helping you with the permits and so on, there are other activities which we can help you while you're starting a business, and as well as hopefully as you can as you grow. Just even an example, I mean, during the business awards which we had last week, what before was a home-based business actually made it as Wyndham Business of the Year. So it grew literally from a home-based business to now operating from its own warehouse. A number of things which we can help with. There are business training. So we had last month a good number of times we have it during the year. Things such as how to start your business, whether it's marketing, whether it's finance, and even, I had a question today, is it a business or is it a hobby? That's the sort of thing that, we can assist, guiding you, whether it's us, whether it's mentoring. In fact, we have the small business bus, which will be coming to Tarnit on the 26th of October. And on the 27th, it will then move to Point Cook. Basically, here we have 45-minute slots, free of charge. You don't need to own a business. You have, a thought of what you need to be doing. You want to, do cakes or whatever you have in mind. You can discuss with someone who is an expert in that field, and he can assist or she can assist you as to how to start doing that. Other things, we organize a number of events to network, especially with other local businesses to help them, to help you all grow sort of, and hopefully even sell to other businesses. We as well have a business directory to help you increase your exposure, both to the retail, both to the Wyndham locals and as well to Wyndham-based businesses.
Thanks, David. Can you provide some, will there be links to booking a session with the mentoring with the bus?
That's a bit tricky at this point. However, I'll put a link on the training page. We have a business training page on our website, and the reason it's a bit tricky because they haven't opened registration at this point. This is organized by Business Victoria, but through the business training program, one can actually then check out when once it opens. It basically opens within on the 26th of September, sorry, basically a month before the actual date. But I'll provide the link towards that as well.
Great. And I assume the information about the networking event and the business directory will also be on your webpage, which we'll send out the links for at the end of this session.
Yeah, we'll provide a link to register for the newsletters we have. So we have a monthly newsletter, and sometimes we even issue it more. It's an online thing. It's emailed to you. I think it would be great if you had to register to that. Obviously, most of the stuff we organize is free of charge, by the way, such as whether it's the small business bus, the mentoring, the training, all of that is free. We'll just send through the links, and if especially regarding the events, being registered on the on our monthly newsletter on the business matters. We'll keep you up to date with whether it's training we have, whether it's networking events. That will be basically your first port of contact.
Great, thank you, David. I've just had a couple of other questions come through that sort of sit in Linda and Christine's area, if I might double back to them. Now, I can't remember if it was Linda, it might have been Linda. There's the question here about the goods not being able to be picked up from home, but there's a question about, obviously there are businesses that operate and advertise on Facebook and Instagram where customers are able to pick the goods up from the house. So is that not really allowed? Just a bit of clarification around that, please.
That would be Linda.
Yep, that is not allowed. If you are advertising online, you are not allowed to have customers come and collect.
Great, thanks for the clarification. There's another question here. I'm not sure that we will be able to answer it here today, but I'll try you out. Vidhi has asked, what are the necessary licenses we need to take when we want to export into Australia? Perhaps that is more import ingredients into Australia? It
would very much depend on this specific. Probably if this particular person has any, we have our contact details. That person can send us an email and we can, assist.
You would need to have a Food Act registration with council. Again, depends on where you're doing it. You wouldn't be able to have, particularly from home necessarily, but certainly from a factory or something like that to import to. And potentially also AQUIS, which is our federal agency that would come and check for pests and things like that that might have snuck in. So you would also need to get certified from them. And again, depending on what foods it is. So if it's food, just food, it would be with council. If it's meat products, it would be with Prime Safe. And dairy, if it's all meat products, and if it's all sort of dairy products, it would be with Dairy Safe Victoria. So depends on what type of food you're looking to import, but you'd certainly need, at the very least, council registration.
Great. Just with regard to the council registration, if you move to another council, does the registration automatically transfer, or do you need to restart the registration process with the new council?
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't go across councils with your permanent businesses. If you decided to build or have a food vehicle, so a food truck, that can go across councils and you can operate in other councils as well for events. But if you're a fixed home business, unfortunately, it doesn't go across.
Sure. And Linda, there was another question here for you about signage. Do we necessarily need to have a sign up to let the neighbourhood know that we're operating a food business from home, or is that just sort of optional?
No, that's just an option. We do get that question quite a lot. Some people do want to have a sign on their fence or on their home advertising that they have a home-based business. So yeah, it's optional. You don't have to have one. Just wanted to let you know, if you do want one, it's A4 size. You need no permit, which is quite small. But if you are happy to apply for a planning permit, still the maximum size you can have is 1 square metre, which is 1 metre by 1 metre.
Great. I'm just going to ask 2 more questions and then we're going to move on because I'm conscious of time. And the other questions that are in the chat, I'll come back to people offline with the answers for them. There was one question here about, can businesses operate from home with pets in the house?
Simple answer is no, particularly if they're in the kitchen areas and things, if you can separate them easily enough. But you have to think about the contamination potential from whether that's from animal hair or whatever it might be. So the simple answer would be no, but if you can demonstrate that you can keep them separate, then it's something that can be looked at.
Thanks, Christine. And my final question at the moment is, are you able to cook from home and then sell it on to other stores? So are you able to make orders for a particular shop from your home, but the goods are actually sold in a physical shop?
Yeah, absolutely, you can. But there are some very specific requirements around your labelling. So if you're not selling from your house and you're on selling it to a shop, you need to make sure the labelling is correct. And we can help you with that at the time. It's quite technical to explain it all now, but you can certainly do that.
Great, thanks very much. I think we're at the end of the slides. I'm just trying to click back to that. Oh, sorry, David, there was just an introduction for your team.
That's fine. That's basically, yes, that's me and my team and Vaselina. That's the email for any contacts. So if you have any queries whatsoever, anything which we can help you and assist you with in terms of growing, or any question you might have. We might not know the answer, but at least we can try and give our best to actually send you to the right channel.
Thanks, David. And there are some links here which I'll just skip over and I'll stop sharing. But we will send everyone who's registered today all the links that were provided on that slide, as well as further ways on how to contact council. There's a lot of very specific questions coming through, so we'll definitely include all of the ways that you can contact council to ask those questions. And I'll hand back to Sue.
All right. Well, thank you, team from Wyndham City Council, for all of that extremely valuable information. There seems like there's quite a lot in it, but a very friendly team there to help everyone through all of the rules and regulations about cooking from home. I'm sure it's all really appreciated by everyone attending this afternoon, so thank you. And just to reiterate what Sarah just said, we will send you all the links to that information and the various council departments that you've just heard from by the end of the week. All right, so moving on to the second part of our panel now, and we're joined by 3 local business owners from the Wyndham community who are here very kindly to share their experiences in working from home in the food business and tell us a bit more about their journey. So firstly, we're joined by Hoy. Hi, Hoy. Hoy is from Hoy's Kitchen. Hoy started her career in hospitality in Thailand, and after she moved to Australia, she found it very difficult to get an office job. So she decided to focus on cooking. She started by offering Thai cooking classes to the community, which led to catering. And now she is the proud owner of Number 99 Cafe in Maidstone. Hi, Hoy. How are you?
Good, Sue. How are you?
Good, thank you. Hoy, we're fascinated to hear about your journey. Can you give us a bit of an overview into the start of your business and what you found to be most helpful?
Yes, like you did mention before, when I moved to Australia, I find it very hard, very difficult to get a job, for my background. So I decided to offering the community for the cooking class, and then that is start me because people who came to my cooking class, they were asking me about catering. That is happening. So before I do that, I need to talk to the council first. So I did contact them and I told them what happened to me. Like I got a offering, the catering, and it's an opportunity in the Sunday market as well. So what do I have to do? So the people is very helpful. So they said, this is what you need to do if you want to, start cooking from home, because in that time, I'm not thinking serious to open the restaurant or anything like that. I just want to do just a small business at home. So anyway, I went to the council, and then they guide me through everything, like you have to do this, they come and inspect the house, what kind of food do you need to cook. So I told them, explained to them everything, and then they guide me through everything. So yes, yeah, that's how it happens. Yeah.
And you found the process quite easy?
Quite easy, because, quite easy, because it is very hard when people think that, oh, how I'm gonna start it, because it's a lot of things, you know, to get involved. You know, you're cooking from home. My background, I'm from Thailand. You can cook and you sell anything at the front of your house. You don't have to go to, you know, the 500 page, whatever, you know, we have to do here. But having said that, you just need to talk to them, and then they help you every single thing. People very helpful to help. Yes.
Okay. And so did they help you with the business planning and the advertising and all of that sort of thing as well?
They give me some advice, you know, like if you want, you know, advertise, this is what you can do, this what allow you to do. And, you know, I start from there, you know, and then when I get my first catering start, I got my second, and I got just keep going. And then I'm just, you know, having fun and just start from there. Yes.
And you're enjoying it, obviously.
Yes, very much, yes.
So is there anything that you know now that you wish you had known when you first started out?
When I start, every time when you talk to people at council, and then when they say to you, oh, you need to have food safety supervisor, and you was thinking to yourself, how I'm gonna get that, you know, and how I'm gonna, you know, because you just think like it's just too hard to get it. But look, when I think back, it's not that hard. It's just part of, you know, our knowledge, you know, and then to selling the food, it's just like you have to make sure that everything is right, you know, for the people, everything safe and healthy, and, you know, all the things. But when I think back, that is my thing that, like, you know, and the other thing is because of the food that I cook is get involved with raw meat. So it has to be like a, you know, commercial kitchen. So I need to get the sink as well. So the sink that has to be specific sink, you know, but, you know, with help from the council. So everything went smooth. So that's no problem.
So it sounds like you got an amazing amount of help from council. So well
yes,
done.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes.
And how are you going now? You enjoying it?
Yes. I still have kitchen, you know, or kitchen, you know, at home, but I also have my own cafe at number 99 cafe. So it's been 3 years now. I've been open 5 months before COVID, and then get through now. So yeah, I still enjoy what I'm doing. So not much cooking from home now because I got my own cafe. But sometime at work, at the moment I'm mainly is barista, you know, making coffee. Yes. So yeah.
Is it Thai coffee?
No, it's not a Thai coffee. It's a flat white cappuccino, skinny milk, latte, 2 sugar, whatever. Yes. Yes.
That's what we need. Fantastic. Well, your journey's really exciting, and I'm sure it's quite inspiring for any of our listeners here today. Sarah, are there any questions for Hoy?
Hoy, there were just a couple of questions around, did you have to make any changes to your kitchen when you started out, any structural changes, or were you able to just sort of use your domestic kitchen from the start?
Yeah, like I did mention before, because of the food that I'm going to sell is involved with raw meat. So it's like chicken, you know, meat. So it has to be like a class 2. So when I have to do that, that means I have to get a sink. What, you know, even at the kitchen at home, it's got 2 sinks already. But no, you need to have another sink just for your, you know, hand wash and things like that. But like I said, yes, that's what I have to do. You know, extend the kitchen bench. That's my plan anyway. And then just put another sink. Yes.
And Hoy, did the council officers come out and give you that information before you started? So they had a look at your kitchen and then let you know what you needed to change?
Yes, they came in and have a look and tell me exactly what do I need if I want to, you know, go ahead with the home cooking. And they even give me the specific sink. What do I need? You know, so they're very helpful. Yes.
Fantastic.
That's
Thanks,
fantastic.
Hoy. That was the end of the questions for Hoy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Hoy. That's
thank you very much.
Inspirational.
Thank you very much.
Very valuable. So next we're joined by Christine. Hi, Christine. Christine's from Borgie's Catering and Grazing Tables. Christine is the chef and owner of Borgie's Catering and Grazing Tables. Christine started her cookery apprenticeship in the year 2000, just 3 days after her final year 12 exam. Big effort, Christine. Well done. Didn't have a gap year or a holiday.
Not at all.
Straight into it. During her career, Christine has worked with many famous chefs, notably Stephanie Alexander, Maggie Beer and Kylie Kwong. I want to hear all about that. That's very exciting. Christine has recently overcome some serious health challenges, which we're sorry to hear about, as well as a global pandemic, as we all have, and currently juggling being a full-time mum to a young daughter and running a small business at the same time. So Christine, gosh, tell us about your story. How did you start out?
Well, look, I've kind of had the upper hand. I've been a chef for 22 years now, so I've always been involved around food. Being a chef and having a passion for food, with the little downtime that you have, I always found myself helping out family members and catering, or best friend going, oh my God, it's my birthday coming up, or it's Mum's birthday, can you chuck something together? So, you're always doing a bit of catering on the side. I then kind of got out of the industry. I fell into training. So I've been teaching people how to cook for the last 9 years, doing courses from Cert 3 commercial cookery. So, chefs, so apprentice chefs, turning them into chefs, to long-time unemployed mums trying to get back into the workforce, to students on SBAT programs, so kids with disabilities, or kids struggling through school, trying to get them some hands-on experience and get them into the workforce. So I've had the upper hand with training and with food safety. I specialised in food safety for quite some time. So I've always had a passion for cooking. I've always, been in the industry in some way, shape or form, and it led to obviously catering on a more full-time basis and then turning into a full-time business. So
did you start off with a formal business plan, or did it just happen?
It just happened. And it's still just happening. I still don't have a formal business plan. I think you'll find that with most people in my industry or doing what I do, we have our minds are constantly thinking of what to do next. So putting pen to paper isn't really my thing, but my brain is constantly going even when I'm sleeping. So nothing formally on paper, but my brain tells me I know exactly what I want to do next week, next month, 5 years, and 10 years down the track.
Beautiful. So how are you making that happen?
Not getting a lot of sleep, and just doing it. I believe in backing yourself. Even I sometimes doubt myself and my ability, but I've got a good network of friends and family, and a supportive partner around me that are constantly telling me, don't doubt yourself and your ability, just back yourself and do it. So if a good idea pops up, then I go for it.
Perfect. So are you using social media at all?
I do. I'm not great on the with technology or with social media. I do have a Facebook page, Borgie's Catering and Grazing Tables, and I also have an Instagram page. I am terrible at maintaining it. I find that every time I post something, I get completely overwhelmed with messages, which is great. Obviously, I've got a lot of followers, got almost 5,000 followers. I only really post something once a week or once every couple of weeks. And when I do, I get hundreds and hundreds of messages. It's not that I don't want to be busy, because I am, but I'm just me. I'm the face of the business. I do all the hard work. I do all the prep, the shopping. So I need to cautiously keep in mind that if I post something, my phone is going to go absolutely crazy. I need to be able to respond to all these, as well as juggle being full-time mum with a 15-month-old child. So I can definitely do a lot more on the posting front and social media front, but at the moment, I'm happy with how things are going. We're very, very busy.
So it sounds like you need to keep a lid on it more than
to a certain extent. I mean, I know my next step would be probably getting a website, but the only reason I haven't done that is because I'm the kind of person that says no. We do lots and lots of grazing tables, lots and lots of grazing boxes. I got stores wanting to buy my product to sell it out of their stores. And I don't say no. So if someone asks me to do it, generally the first response is yes. Or if I know it's no, I'm going to find a way to make it happen and to say yes. So I just need to kind of balance having a child and being a first-time mum before I get the website and take the next step, because at the moment, just with social media and word of mouth, things are very, very busy.
Yeah, it sounds like you're on a roll. So, all right, well, same question as to Hoy. If you knew things now, what do you wish you had known right at the start?
Look, I kind of had the upper hand. I've been training hospitality for many, many years, and I've been specialising in food safety. I've also written food safety material for a lot of private RTOs. So I knew what I was getting myself into straight away. So I knew exactly how many sinks I had to have, and, you know, the storage conditions and food safety plans and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I kind of knew what it was that I needed before I contacted the council. They came straight in and kind of went, you've got everything, tick, see you later.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, I did have the upper hand.
Well, your journey is nevertheless inspirational, and hopefully, are there any questions, Sarah, for Christine?
I just had a quick question, Christine. Are we looking at your home-based kitchen now?
You are. Would you like to have a look at it? I can show you around.
Yeah.
It's quite a large kitchen. I'll take you to the front of the kitchen. Excuse, I've got dinner kind of. My partner's got a schedule of when everything needs to go into the oven for dinner tonight. So I'm not sure. So this is like what you will see when you walk into my home. I'm not sure how well this.
We can see it.
Fantastic.
Yep. That's my household. And then we turn around the corner. So there's a single sink there.
Yep.
And then we turn around the corner. This is where I was sitting. So I've got all this bench space here. I've got 3 dishwashers. I've got a double sink there, a dirty baby bottle. This is my automatic sink dispensers there. So more bench space, and we come around the corner. So we've got a fridge there, slicer, my big mixer there, double door fridge, and then an industrial combi oven as well.
That's amazing.
Which cost more than most small cars on the road today.
I should point out,
that's amazing.
I just also want to point out that you don't have to have Christine's level of kitchen to be able to have her own kitchen.
No, well, so when I started, I was training in a place called GITTC in Geelong, which is a trade centre. So I was able to use an industrial kitchen to run my business out of, which I did after hours and on weekends. And then I fell pregnant, and it was a schedule, like it was, you know, we wanted to have a baby and trying for many years. I was like, cool, no worries. I'm still working as a trainer. I'm still doing my catering on the side. I can still use this kitchen. I've got access to it. It's amazing. From 14 weeks of being pregnant, I ended up in a wheelchair. So basically my business had to stop, like literally overnight. It stopped, and my diary was full. I had so much work coming in, but it was basically, if there's any chance of your baby surviving, you are either going to spend the entire pregnancy in hospital, in a bed, or in a wheelchair. So I was like, how am I going to make this work? Like, I was also thinking about the business as well. Like I'm pregnant. Hopefully this pregnancy works out. I can't take my baby to an industrial kitchen. What am I going to do? So we had decided that, well, our house was due to be renovated. It was getting a bit dated. So we packed up our house, we moved out of home. We renovated our house, and I renovated my kitchen and made sure I put in everything, because I wanted to be an active mother to raise my child, but I also wanted to be able to run my business at the same time. So yeah, so I got through the pregnancy, and now I've got a semi-industrial kitchen in my home that I know the council was never going to knock back. I've also got the ability, when my business grows, to be able to grow as much as I possibly can and use my kitchen to the fullest of its ability before I then need to move into something a bit more commercial.
Beautiful. It's certainly going to stand the test of time then, Christine.
It gets a lot of work, trust me. Last week I got 13 metres of bench space, and every single
beautiful. Cleaning it too. Sarah, it looks like we may run about 10 minutes over time. So hopefully that's okay with everyone. We'll keep going. And thank you so much, Sarah. Sarah Christine, that's amazing. And your journey's fantastic. I'm sure everyone's got valuable insights from your inspirational story as well. Satya, hello. Satya's from Satya's Kitchen, and his food journey started about 6 years ago when he noticed that there was no place in Melbourne that served authentic South Indian menu for the Telugu community. This inspired him to start a small home-based business focused on traditional menu that none of the restaurants were offering back when he started in 2016. But for Satya, and thank you very much for your time because you're obviously a busy man, the food business is a side hustle, so which he juggles with his full-time career in IT. So welcome, Satya.
Thank you.
How did you start your business? Did you get help from council? And what did you need to know?
See, my story is a bit different to the other two. Back in 2016, obviously, my parents visited Australia, and we found out that yes, we can't find the exact stuff that we get back home. See authenticity and authentic taste. So I had always had the passion for the food, and I have the culinary skills are coming from my mom, what she passed on, what I learned from her. So 16 years full-time job, always wanted to be in a food business, but didn't want to give up full-time IT job because I was sure that if I start something small, it might not replace the same income stream. So I thought, okay, let's do something on the weekend, just test out the market or what it is like. So started with small orders, but at that time I wasn't aware of any of the council requirements and the safety regulations. So started off small, but one day came that yes, I should check with the council, like what the regulations are. It was 3 months into the business, so what we started really clicked on, and then I contacted the council. What are the requirements? So what do I need to do to set up a business and run it from home? So a council rep came home and asked me questions, and they suggested me what needs to go and what needs to be where. So they said, well, you should not be able to operate the business unless you get the approvals. So I had that happening, and the formalities, and that's covered. So since then, it's been challenging because having a 9-to-5 job and then managing the business and also working, plus getting to speak to the customers. So it was quite time consuming because people have time only in the evenings when they start planning their the weekend parties and stuff. So I spend a lot of time on the phone. Wife complains, but yeah, that's how it was. So, but now it has eased off a bit. So the challenges were there. It is like there were overwhelming demand for the food. So in no time that I realized that home was never going to be able to meet the demand. So I changed the business model a bit. So as simple as like hiring the commercial kitchens where we can cook for hundreds of people. So basically I shifted the business model from home to commercial kitchen. So where I can pretty much upscale or downscale as required. So it's been a great response from the community as well.
So is your commercial kitchen financially viable? Obviously it is.
Exactly viable, because see, some of my friends make fun of me saying your business model is like cloud cooking. It's basically whenever we have orders, I hire the kitchen out. If I don't have any orders, we don't hire. So basically there is zero cost involved. So it's very, very cost effective. And you'll be surprised if I say I started all this business with $70 in my pocket. That was my initial investment. And from there on, based on the orders and the turnaround, I'll save some and invest. So that's how all this started.
Fantastic. So did you have to get different council permits and different planning permissions from council for the commercial kitchen? Was that another new process?
Correct, yes. So I had to speak to the Moonee Valley Council and Hobsons Bay Council and the Wyndham Council as well. So these are 3 councils where we normally operate a business in. So yes.
Right. Okay. And so how's business going now?
It's going great. We are doing around, we're pretty much busy every weekend, and there is demand. I'm always booked 3 months in advance, so which is good. So yes, doing really well.
So are you doing the cooking yourself?
Not anymore, because now I have stepped back a bit. I'm just managing the orders, getting the orders in. So I have hired multiple chefs, so who do actually the cooking part. So I'm the face of the business. So basically my work is to get the business in and then meet the customer requirements.
So is it just via word of mouth, your business, or do you advertise as well?
It is a bit of a blessing for me because I come from the IT. So initially I used the social media, Facebook. Yeah. Predominantly I have used Facebook to get the word out there. So once the people tasted the food, it's been just a word of mouth since then. So I think that's the best way to get the name out there and to be successful. It's like people know it, people taste the food, and they actually recommend you.
Yeah.
So I have also, I have also built the website myself. So I have designed it so it is mobile friendly and desktop friendly as well. So it's helping as well, because that gives you the presence of the business at a bit higher level rather than just people talking about what menus we offer or me texting them. So it is a good platform for exposure.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll be sure to look you up. That sounds lovely. All right, Sarah, are there any questions for Satya? No, thank you so much for your time, Satya. That's another inspirational journey. I'm thinking of starting up my own business now. I wish I could cook, but I can't.
Thank you.
So, Sarah, that brings us to the end of our panel discussions or presentations. Did you want to check in with some questions now for our panelists?
If I could maybe just ask the council a couple more questions. There's been a few questions about food packaging and the labelling of ingredients, quantities and nutritional value. Is there anyone that would like to speak briefly about that at all?
That'll be my area as well. So anything to do with food is environmental health. So what specifically are they wanting to know?
If you're just selling from home into the shop, do you need to label all the ingredients with the quantity and the nutritional value? Okay.
Yes, you do. If you're selling to a shop to then on sell for you, you definitely need to have labeling. With nutritional panels, any allergens. So allergens is a really big thing as well at the moment. Particularly in Victoria, we've got lots of people with allergies. So having the ingredients listed. There are some online tools that you can use to help you make those nutritional panels. And then to make sure they're correct, you can get them sent to some special analysts that will check it against the Food Standards Code. So within the Food Standards Code, there's specific requirements, even down to font size and things like that for the nutritional panels.
Yep. And does that apply even if you're just delivering to customers direct, if it's not going to shops?
No, it doesn't apply to that. However, we would still recommend that you have the ingredients list just on a label and any care instructions. So to eat immediately or to heat up, so that people know what to do.
Great, thank you. There was another question here, Christine, about can you operate a kitchen from the garage?
You can. That's not a problem, but you will need to get a building permit because you're changing it from a garage to a habitable room. So you would need to get a building permit for that, but absolutely you can.
Yep. There's another question here about do you need to still register as a food business if you're just cooking for fundraising purposes?
Yes, yes. So it would depend. The only time you would not need to do it is if you were a soup kitchen providing soup to some people that might be having difficulty with finding accommodation or things like that.
Sure, no worries. Christine, is there any cost attached to having you come out and visit?
There is a cost to that, but you can always come in and have a chat with us and have some photos. We can offer some general advice, but there's also options to get plan assessments and things like that done, which is a more thorough check, but we're more than happy to provide some advice at the counter if you want to come and have a chat, or over the phone about hand wash basins or anything like that. It seems like that's the big one at the moment. So yeah, if you need anything like that, please either come into council and ask to speak to environmental health, or the small business officers. They can have the initial conversations and then bring us out if need be. But yeah, we're more than happy to help.
Yep, no problems. I might just sneak in one final question, which has come up a little bit. It was around commercial kitchens. How would people source a commercial kitchen? If anyone's got any suggestions about that.
I think there's not a lot around that offer it out, but I know, and I'm probably not the best one to answer, but you would still need to just be mindful. You still do need to have a registration for it. But if you've got other friends that have a kitchen, like a cafe or a restaurant or something like that, you can always ask them if they would be happy to lease it to you, or if you can use it after hours to start with, but you would need a separate registration.
Sure, no worries. I think everyone's a bit inspired by Satya's journey.
Well, Satya might actually be able to tell you more about that. I do know there was one in North Melbourne that was specific for that purpose, to hire out, but there's nothing in Wyndham. There used to be, but it's not operational anymore.
That's right. Yes, we can actually hire out kitchens, like in terms of the event venues, where there's the kitchen, dedicated kitchen at the back. So most of the venues are happy to hire them out because it's not used most of the time. And also you can check with the restaurants to use the after hours. So which is they see it as a stream of income for themselves, and they maintain it. So it is less hassle for the members who want to use it.
Great. Thank you for the tip, Satya. And Christine, you've got your hand up. Did you want to make a comment too about the commercial kitchens? And you probably have a bit of experience in that too.
Yeah, you would find that reception venues, generally reception venues only mainly operate on weekends or towards the end of the week, and they've got an empty kitchen at the start of the week. So from my experience, usually a lot of them are quite flexible. Obviously, provided that you got your own food safety plan and you need to have your liability insurance and all that kind of stuff. But most of them they're generally provided that they still have access to their kitchen when they need it. They're pretty flexible with allowing you to hire out their kitchen.
Fantastic. There's some great pointers there. I
right.
think I'll leave it at that for the questions, and we'll follow up offline because they're quite specific. But Christine, I think your phone is going to ring hot in the next couple of days.
Great.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, that about wraps it up. So thank you to all of our speakers today. We sincerely appreciate you giving up your time to share this valuable information with our community. To our participants, we hope you've found that really enjoyable, inspirational and useful. As we mentioned, the session has been recorded, and we will upload the YouTube link to our Facebook page later in the week. So you can all access that and go over the information again. We'll also provide the links to the resources that we mentioned. Just in closing, an invitation, please keep in touch with the Skills and Jobs Centre. We're more than happy to help out in any way we can with careers advice, workshops. You can make an appointment with a careers advisor if you need to further your journey. And the offers out there on behalf of the state government. So thank you to everyone once again, and good evening.